Hi, my name is Al Green. Not that one, but the struggling guy who was in the music industry for years trying to sell talent and songs to agents. The agents befriended me and taught me techniques that I want to pass on to you through my program, which is called You Can Talk, You Can Sell. Anyone who has ever taken this program has excelled in selling and either risen to the top of their company, their team, or the top of their field. It's called You Can Talk, You Can Sell, and you can get it right here.
Hi, are you structuring your sales pitch to be effective? Do you know if it's effective? Or are you just following some rote program that was written for you, or you got it out of a book, or maybe your supervisor or someone in your company said, say this, say that, whatever. Well, if you'd like to know the best way to handle this, get a pen and a piece of paper, something to write on, or use your computer and make a few notes about this. One of the things that you can do is practice in front of a video, which is done by using your phone. You can take a selfie video and see how you sound, but the best pitches are well thought out because they need to have a little bit of entertainment. Like, for example, all the rocks that you see behind me are completely surrounding me. I'm trapped in a well of, how do you know I'm not in the bottom of a well? That might not be the funniest thing, but at least I'm opening it up to the idea that I'm making you think a little bit differently, hopefully in a humorous way. Okay, fine, I'm not the funniest guy in the world because I'm not a professional comedian, and it's not my purpose to entertain my customers, because the idea is to be effective and tell my clients exactly what it is they need after finding out what their needs are. But the sales pitch that works is the one where you are making a point of interest. You're not over the top obvious, like, by the way, I'm here representing XYZ Corporation, and we sell gadgets and widgets, and we sell all kinds of intangible things like insurance and advertising. None of that, because all that is basically the kind of talk that your client is expecting you to have. And that's why they say, look, I don't have time for you. Would you please leave? I don't have time. Okay. And then next thing you know, you're like, you pretty much lost your first impression. So one of the best things you can do is walk into a fresh client, introduce yourself. And one of the things I always do, no matter what I see, is, and by the way, what is your name? And they'll say, well, my name is Rodney. Okay, Rodney, how you doing, Rodney? I'm like in the area. I thought I would drop in and see if your company has some kind of a need that my company might be able to fulfill. I'm not sure, but if you have a few minutes, I'll just make this really quick. And then the idea is to be brief and start asking them a couple of questions. Do you normally buy a supply of XYZ? Let's say it's janitorial supplies. How often do you need supplies? You might get an answer like, all the time, or once a month, or you have to talk to our purchasing agent about that. Whatever. Okay, great. Could you give me an introduction to your purchasing agent? Believe it or not, sometimes they'll say, sure, no problem. Go right to that second door on the left, ask for Judy, tell her that Rodney sent you, and then you start over again with the same kind of dialogue where you walk in, you introduce yourself, and you say, hi, my name is, in my case, my name is Al, and I'm with ABC Corporation, and you are Judy, is that right? And you get them to say yes. These little questions that result in a yes start the micro wheels turning of permission and acceptance. So yeah, Judy, Rodney said that you guys buy janitorial supplies about once a month. Can I ask you, do you shop around, or do you have the best prices that you can get? Because a lot of times what I found is by shopping, I have found out that my company can beat the prices of any of my nearest competitors, which might be your MOB corporation that you're buying from or whatever, okay? and look around and at Judy's desk and her surroundings and see if there's anything there that you could find mutual interest of. Hey, I notice you play golf. Interesting. Where do you play? Oh, I play over at the links down at the country club next to the brewery. Wow, I've never played there. Is that a great course? And, and just develop the interest. Get them talking about themselves a little bit. So how long you been playing? And you'll get all kinds of answers. And then you can say, that's fantastic. What kind of handicap do you have? Or whatever it is. Or I notice in the pictures that you seem to have been a swimmer. Do you teach swimming, or are you a professional coach? Or possibly maybe won some awards like Olympic swimming or anything like that? And they'll start talking about themselves if you've opened the door correctly. But if you use an approach that's, by the way, my company, and then you just list nothing but features and benefits and everything it's going to do for them, they're expecting that. That's kind of wooden. In other words, they can expect you to say that, and you want to give them something that they don't expect. So, depending on what it is you're selling. Now, I know if you're in pharmaceuticals is about building relationships. And in pharmaceuticals, your pitch is going to be basically, we have something new coming down. It's going to be here in about a month, and it's been approved, or it's in the approval process. And I'd like to know if I have a minute to just explain it to you. And it's the same thing if you're selling anything else. So if, let's say, for example, that you're selling a programming service for computers, you might want to just tell your customer, everybody is using these new programs now that do everything for you. They're called DFY, do for you. My company, believe it or not, has been doing this for years. We created the first do for you program. And what I'd like to do is explain to you how, if you want to give this a try, the trial is based on you taking, I don't know, let's say 2 weeks or a month to try this out. And then what I'll do is I'll follow up with you to see how it works. Now, I'm opening the door for a future visit. In the six-figure selling system that I coach, you learn all about the ways to follow up, the timing for follow-up, and how to present yourself in such a way that people will respond to you with little micro yeses that add up to one big yes. In other words, you got to give people a reason to say yes to you. So you're the main buyer on this in this division, is that correct? Even if you know the truth that they are the main buyer, you ask them that question, you're going to get a yes. If you get any resistance at all, then the problem is your approach. So rather than waste your time making mistakes on potential sales, the best thing to do is to get your pitch down in such a way, adapt it to yourself. So for example, when people look at you and they look at the way you're dressed, your dress is broadcasting where your mindset is at. If you're a person and you're selling to a very upscale company that's very formal, you walk in and all the executives are wearing ties. Maybe they're attorneys, whatever. They want to look the best and professional. You can't walk in with a bunch of tattoos on your face or on your neck. That just isn't going to work. What you need to do is you need to be matching the mentality of the person you're selling to. So if, for example, you play golf and you see that they play golf, you have something common to talk about. You can say, oh yeah, do you have a coach? Yes, I do. His name is, and they give you a name, Brad somebody, and you say, you know what? I know him. I studied with him for years. We played over at the Alondra golf course back in the 2000s, early 2000s, or whatever. And if the person you find is into some other hobby like cars, like maybe they have a bunch of race cars all around their particular office near their bookshelf, and you look at it, you go, wow, are those NASCARs or whatever it might be? And maybe the person will respond with something like, yeah, my uncle owns 2 of them. Those are his cars. Really? What is his name? Maybe I know that driver. And they might give you a name, and you can say, oh yeah, I've seen him. Is he currently driving, or does he have a driver for himself? And you can ask questions that relate to that. As long as you know what you're talking about. Otherwise, you can make a fool out of yourself like I did many, many, many times, okay? I never walked in, though, and made a fool of myself right away. Usually it took me some time to show that I was ignorant about something. And I'll tell you something that you already know, and that is that ignorance can feel like stupidity. It just means you haven't been exposed to something, but technically speaking, it does feel like stupidity. It's kind of like you walk into a person's office, and maybe they have astrological symbols all over their office. And maybe you don't care for astrology. Maybe it's something that you can just say, oh, wow, look at all these symbols. That's interesting. This must be something you're interested in. You're probably going to get a yes because they wouldn't have those plaques like that all over the office. And then you're starting your way on getting more yeses. Okay, so can I ask you, and I would always put it that way as to not be too blatant. Can I ask you, what sign are you? And they will say, okay, I'm a Taurus. And then you can say, you know, I don't know a lot about astrology, but what are the personality traits for Tauruses? And if a person says something sarcastic like, it doesn't matter what I am, or they might even ask, what are you? You say, I don't know what I am because I'm not into that, but here's my birthday. And then they'll say, oh, you're technically a Gemini or whatever it might be. And now you're talking on a different level. Even though you're the one that doesn't know anything, you're showing that you are willing to have an interest in listening to them. And a lot of people love to talk about themselves, and they love to talk about their interests. So let's say you walk into somebody's office, or you're at their house and you see trophies all over the place. Wow, that's really cool. Trophies, what exactly is that for? And they might tell you it's for bowling, or it might be for track, or it might be for another sport, such as football or baseball. And you can start asking questions and let them talk, because people love to talk about themselves. Now, are these your trophies, or I mean, did you win them, or are they for the team? Oh no, those are all mine, and this one over here is for my team. Wow, so you really did well. That's fantastic. Are you still playing? And you just be conversational. There's plenty of trainings everywhere, all over YouTube, on how to have a good conversation. There's even dialogue coaches that will tell you how to communicate. And that's the key, is communication. If you've ever studied acting, the one thing that you might want to think about is that actors have to communicate. Right now, I'm not acting. I'm just trying to communicate. And hopefully I'll be communicating with you soon when you join me in the 6-figure selling system.